According to the State Department of Health, nearly 66% of New Mexicans have had their first COVID-19 vaccine shot, and almost 56% are fully vaccinated at this point, and that's welcome news as new case counts and pandemic deaths continue to dwindle. But experts warn that it's not enough. They want the state to hit 70% and soon. To that end, the governor recently announced a sweepstakes with $1 million split amongst 4 people each week for 5 weeks, and get this, a $5 million grand prize sometime in August. Eric, did you sign up? That's my first question.
I did.
Did you?
As a matter of fact.
Right on.
I mean, I didn't, I got vaccinated early, and, my wife and I, and even my son who's 12, we all got it.
Yeah.
But, why not sign up? But I will say, compared to what, some other states are doing, my father-in-law said, what would be good to get some of these folks who are anti-vaccine or anti-government, offer them a firearm. And guess what? That's what West Virginia and some states are doing now. They're actually offering firearms because that's kind of the target audience they have to go after for the folks who don't trust the government.
Wow.
So it's interesting. I mean, at least we're not offering that. We're offering hunting licenses, fishing licenses, things like that to get people to go. Look, I mean, it's troubling on the one hand because there are a lot of folks all over the world who just don't have access at all to the vaccine, that we have to do so much to try to get people. But I will say New Mexicans have been, I've been really proud of the work we've done to be willing to be vaccinated, and that we're almost at 60. I think we'll be at 60%. And, we moved to turquoise. So every county in the states really had lifted restrictions. So I think whatever it takes to get people on board. I do think, $5 million bucks might be excessive to folks. I've never won a lottery in my life, so I'm not holding my breath. But I think anything we can do to get some of these folks who just, for whatever reason, don't buy the science, don't trust the health department, to get off the dime. If as my friend Dan would say, using market-based solutions to get people to do things, maybe it works in this case, right?
That's well put. I like that, Merritt. Seriously, I got to ask you, what do you make of this tactic? I mean, California had this enormous pool. They did sort of the same thing, $1.5 million. They had like a $115 million pool to pull from. But we're talking about federal money. We're talking folks who paid into this, old ladies in Iowa, New Hampshire, Florida. I mean, is this just free money to hand around? What do you make of this?
I mean, I know it's not even cool for Republicans to be, fiscally conservative anymore, but is it possible that maybe there's just too much federal money in the state at this point where we don't know what to do with it? So it's like, hey, let's have a sweepstakes. Come on. This is ridiculous. And of course, don't even consult the legislature, because that would be crazy. Let's not even do that. But yeah, I signed up. For sure.
Except that the ideas come from a bunch of Republican states. I mean, Ohio did it. All the states that were the ideas pioneered are all Republican states. So
I don't even care. But it's not even a market. It's not even a market-based idea. It's just we've got so much money, we can't get it dispersed fast enough. You're handing it to people to not go back to work. We can't even allocate it fast enough. So it's kind of mind-boggling, and we're doing okay with our vaccine rates. I mean, I guess it's better than setting it on fire, but this is as a nation, we're going to be in inflation for the next 15 years, and we're going into an infrastructure plan. I don't even want to get started. I'm really pleased with our vaccination rates. I'm really pleased that despite rates going up, and I guess we're just throwing out the science and we're all in turquoise now. We're moving forward. I hope people take this seriously and continue getting boosters. I think vaccines important. I think the sweepstakes is, though, a bit much.
I got to tell you. Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
Gene, I was going to say the one thing I'm appalled at that I've heard all day today that just shocks me, and I'm just absolutely, it just tears at my inner fiber, is when Eric Grego says he's never won a lottery. I've met Eric's wife, and that man did win a lottery. He won a big lottery. So
I want to make sure she watches.
For him to go out and say he's never won a lottery, Eric, you won the biggest lottery of all, bud. I'm just telling you.
Nicely done. Nicely done. I'll make sure my wife watches it. She's going to watch it, but she never watches it. But I'll say you got a shout out on the line from Dan, so she definitely tune in.
I do have a question for you, Daniel. Though state Senate Republicans, of course, were pouncing all over this, saying the governor, and I'm going to quote here, usurped legislative authority to rehabilitate her image, end quote, when she took all that federal dough. do they have a point here? I mean, she's everywhere on television now, and you'd think she was running for an Academy Award versus an office at some point.
What governor hasn't? I mean, it's not like this is news. I mean, every governor, gets their, look, I got to tell you, the most, I don't know about you guys, but my biggest pet peeve is every time I drive around the state of New Mexico, there's these big orange signs that says, thank you, Governor so-and-so, whoever the governor is, for building our roads. And thank you, this is another investment project. Remember, we had Governor Richardson's investment project. Thank you, Governor Susana Martinez, for building this road. Last time I checked, not one of these people put a penny into building that road. It's the taxpayers that built the road. So, to say that we're, to quote Gene's favorite movie, Blazing Saddles, there's gambling in this establishment. I can't believe this. Yeah, I mean, the governor, the budget the governor gets is pretty tight, but there's also a decent amount of discretionary money. And for years, if I remember correctly,
decent amount. We're talking about a ton of money here, man. Lot of money.
Let me finish, Gene. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Their discretionary portion also comes from any money that's incurred from the feds outside of the appropriations process. So there's a lot of that's not incurred in the budget. That the governor's office actually does have a lot of the opportunity to spend on things they need. They just, in the past, you didn't see the windfall of money coming in that you're seeing now. So you may see some legislative action taken to tighten up that kind of ability that says, hey, listen, here's the budget, because it takes into account all the federal dollars, and anything extra, you kind of can do what you want. That was kind of pennies from heaven in the past, but now it seems to be truckloads of money that are coming in.
That's right. Well, that's going to be discussed a lot as we go along. Eric, I got to follow up on something Dan actually mentioned, that there's a tendency that we tend to think those who aren't getting vaccinated at this point are doing so on purpose, meaning a political statement. Is there a segment, I'm not sure if that's right or wrong, but is there a segment of the population that either doesn't want to bother, doesn't trust vaccines regardless of the politics? And how does a lottery overturn all of that previous thinking? That's the part that's so confusing to me. Is this the way to do it?
Well, there seem to be these groups, the folks that just philosophically, ideologically, they're not going to do it. Then there's, we have friends like this,
right,
who say, like, I'm going to wait, I'm still not convinced yet, and then there's folks who just honestly don't have access. I think we're doing a good job of trying to get anybody who wants it, even though there's some rural areas that we really have to do a better job, and tribal communities, so on. But there's a group of folks, and they're not super political. They're just like, there's still this sort of reticence about it. And so I think some of them might be moved by this. I mean, I think I'd rather see the money going into some other things too. But like at this point, I think that the thinking is, the self-promotion aside, I think the thinking is we've got to get to a rate where we can sort of get back to normal. And you're seeing governors all over the country, Republicans and Democrats, saying like whatever we can do. I could think of a lot of better ways to spend $5 million, frankly, but if it's working in Ohio and it's working in West Virginia and it's working in some other states and it seems to be getting people off the dime, then, I think that's certainly people are trying it. So, what are you going to do?
There you go. We'll see how that plays out. That'll do it for this go round, though we'll be watching when the state starts announcing the winners.